Leave the lesbians alone. For so long we fought against, you know, the right telling us that we could change and that we should change, and now we're fighting against the left saying that we can change and we should change.
Good morning, girlfriends, boyfriends, and as Blaire White says, other. Probably my favorite trans woman, and probably one of my favorite women on YouTube. Yeah, definitely my favorite trans woman, but probably one of my favorite women on YouTube. You're just powerful. You say what you gotta say, and we have a lot to say today.
Yeah, I will say I came over to do this collab that we talked about, and we spent like 2.5 hours just talking about life.
Life. It's my Cancer side and my Virgo. Here's my lesbian astrology side coming out. That's something about lesbians that you don't know. We are obsessed with astrology. Before I go on a date with anybody, I ask them their sign.
I need to learn more about like the lesbian world.
So I saw this meme recently. It said like 1950, the year 1950, being gay is wrong. The year 2000, being gay is finally okay. 2018, being gay is transphobic.
Right.
So that's what we're here to talk about.
Right. The whole like, are your preferences discriminatory thing. I feel like this conversation never ends.
It never fucking ends. And the most important point I want to drive home is this never happens to gay men. You will never see an SJW attack a gay man for enjoying dick.
Ever.
Ever.
It's like men are allowed to have their preferences and
women
don't
aren't.
fuck with it.
Yeah.
But it's not even just that. It's like, as a trans woman, I'm not attracted to trans people. I love trans people. I have trans friends, but my preferences are for cis men. That's literally it. I kind of like girls too, but not like in an extreme way. You know what I mean? I think women are just beautiful. Yeah, I've never gotten any shit for who I'm attracted to.
Lesbians are the only orientation that gets attacked for their orientation.
And you brought a trans person on, like it's appropriate to talk about it with a trans person too. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So let's just do it.
When will cis lesbians like Arielle stop inserting themselves into the conversation that is not about them? It is about me. It's about being what a lesbian means.
To or not
what a lesbian is. Like most of these people that are hating on lesbians for wanting to be with a female or someone that resembles a female, I could very well be in a relationship with a trans woman that had a vagina. Not everyone could be. Vaginas that are man-made, if you will, are a little bit different than cisgender lesbian vaginas, like cisgender women, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think one of the biggest things the SJWs are getting wrong is they're conflating gender and sex to both being gay. Like you can be gay and be attracted to the same sex, or you can be gay and be attracted to the same gender. But, and Lacey Green said this, sexual orientation is not immutable. You cannot change what or who you're attracted to.
And that used to be a very common LGBT stance. We used to be arguing against like the very right-wing Christians who were saying that, you know, gay people can change and whatever. And now we're fighting against the very far left saying gay people can change.
One of the people that tends to do this quite often is a YouTuber by the name of Rena Shut Up. She's a bisexual Asian YouTuber.
Easy for the bisexual girl to talk about it. Damn.
Most of the people that hate on me for only wanting vagina and boobs, whatever, female, honestly are the bisexual people. I don't think it's possible for them to understand. It's not that I choose to only like females. I've touched a penis and 40 million people have seen the video. I wasn't into it. I'm sorry. Whether it was attached to a man or a woman, like I can't do it. I just physically, something about it doesn't feel right. It's always been that way for me.
And you shouldn't be demonized for that, because here's the deal. Like I'm only attracted to penis. I'm not attracted to vagina, surgical vagina, real vagina.
Yeah, and that's great.
I'm also not attracted to surgically constructed penises either. And I can acknowledge there are like plenty of like very attractive trans men.
Right. That have like their secondary sex characteristics are very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, like
they're masculine.
Like sexy beards, like good personalities, whatever. It's just not what I'm attracted to, and that's okay.
There are plenty of YouTubers out there right now, like, believe it or not, an ex-girlfriend of mine, you know, sent me multiple text messages telling me that I'm a terrible transphobic piece of shit because I don't want to fuck a woman with a penis. Thinking anything differently is inherently transphobic. When I was growing up, first of all, I didn't know what trans people even were when I figured out my sexuality. My reasoning is I saw a naked woman, boobs and vagina, and I found it attractive, and that's how I knew I was lesbian. Was that person a woman? The truth is, no one knows. I just know that they were female, and that's what I was attracted to. I'm attracted to the same sex, me. Can some people be attracted to gender? I don't think so, because you don't know somebody's gender. How can you be attracted to gender? It doesn't make any sense.
Gender's up here.
But this is their argument. Their argument is you should be attracted to someone because of their gender. And I know it's not the truth because I dated unknowingly so a trans man because they presented as female. Was I attracted to a man? No, I was attracted to the female in them.
People want to talk about, you know, are your preferences discriminatory?
But sexual orientation is not a preference.
You're free to discriminate upon who you want to have sex with and who you know what I mean? Like,
dating is inherently discriminatory. Like that's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. You're choosing a partner based on what you want.
Right, the same way that like I probably wouldn't want to date a flight attendant because I wouldn't want to date someone who's like flying all over the place and never home.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I don't want to date someone
You're so domestic.
with a vagina.
So domesticated.
I'm such like a
housewife, a 50s housewife. If you like a person and you want them and they like you back, what's between their legs shouldn't matter. This comment hurts me because there's a difference between being emotionally interested in someone and sexually interested in someone. And that can be with marriages. Like 50 years down the road, people stay together because they still emotionally are attached, but there's no sexual chemistry anymore. Yeah. Genitals do matter for a lot of people. For some people it doesn't, and that's great.
Sex isn't love, love isn't sex.
Sex isn't love and love isn't sex.
They should come hand in hand, and it does matter. Like, okay, if I were to go on a date with a man who, for all intents and purposes, I believed was a biological male, okay, so right away my criteria is met with that end, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I found out that they had a vagina. Would I be mean about it? No. Would I, try to insult them or whatever? No. That's not what I'm looking for, and that's fine. It really does blow my mind. I know we keep talking about it, but it blows my mind. Lesbians are the only one that get this.
Only. It's so misogynistic and sexist, and they don't realize it.
Honestly, this might be a little deep, but I think it stems from like growing up as a trans woman. I can say that like my allies when I was younger and I was feminine and no one understood me were all women, because women are
same with gay men.
Because women are nurturing and women
more understanding.
It's harder for the men to get it. That's why people come out to their moms before their dads, or their aunts before their uncles, right? I think a lot of these activists are seeing like women sort of being like, no, I don't have to be attracted to trans women. I don't have to understand that. I don't have to be involved in that. And they see it as like an attack. When in reality,
you're supposed to be on our side. It's like there is no side. It's just this is what I am.
Side, and it's not a side.
It's not a side. It's just what I am.
It's basically a sneakier way of lesbians saying they don't see them as real girls.
No, I see them as trans women, which is what they are.
I don't think there's anything inherently bad about like making the distinction. Like if we're talking about puppies and rainbows, there's no point in being like, I'm trans and you're cis. But if we're talking about like biological sex, and
there
this
are
is
differences.
The context, there are differences, and it's not bad to recognize them.
I think it's good because it helps people understand what you really are. It doesn't mean it's bad to be a trans woman. It just means you're different. You're a different type of woman, and lesbians aren't necessarily attracted to every type of woman.
And I don't want to get too deep into it, but even racial preferences too. And if you want to get even deeper into it, like having a penis or a vagina is an aesthetic, which is why men who are attracted to trans women, to pre-op trans women, they're attracted to the aesthetic of breasts and a penis. Everyone has their thing.
And it's all okay.
Look, all I'm saying is if a lesbian says she only likes vaginas, then she's not a lesbian. She's a TERF. Congrats.
Then I'm a TERF. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
People throw around the word TERF.
They throw it around
way too much. I have an anti-feminist channel and I'm called a TERF.
It's just whenever they disagree with anything that you say, I would be more attracted to a trans woman that was feminine than a butch woman.
Like everyone, you're attracted to secondary sex characteristics. Yes. That's the thing. Primary sex characteristics also matter. Yeah. Leave the lesbians alone. My argument, maybe your preference for women with vaginas over women with penises is to some degree influenced by our cis sexist society. What?
I didn't even know what a trans person was when I was young. How could that have affected my sexuality?
This is basically saying society shaped your sexuality. That's exactly what historically the LGBT community has been fighting against since the beginning.
Yeah.
All we've been trying to say since the beginning is
it's not contagious.
This is who we are. This is who we are. It's not contagious, and I don't have a choice. So please just be okay with it. And they're basically putting us 10 steps back. That's what that is.
Yeah.
I live in Hollywood, lots of gay people here, and like honestly, it's taught me that like yes, there are a lot of people like Riley out in the real world as well, but there's a lot more sane LGBT people than like the activists and all that kind of stuff. So that's a silver lining for me. But at the same time, the activists are so vocal and they're held with such esteem and power within society that they shape the narrative. Think about all these people, conservative, living in Alabama, like whatever, that don't really come across these types of people. We're all Rileys.
They come across, exactly.
We're all Rileys.
Yeah.
That's been the main thing that I've gotten on my channel is like comments from people because I'm conservative and I reach out to a conservative base. Is them.
They've only dealt with trans people that are like Riley.
They've only seen the Riley. So they comment and they're like, what? Being a lesbian or being trans or being straight, it's not ideological. It's who you are. It's in your blood. That's what it is. Riley saying that society shapes your sexuality is backwards. These angry declarations that they have some absolute right to not want to be with trans women are just misplaced and inappropriate.
I hate using these terms, but it's borderline rape culture in this case.
It is rapey as hell.
It's rapey.
Because first of all, that this all rains down on you and that fucking sucks. And I don't like that. And other lesbians feel the same and I don't like that. And also because these people, these activists, they're so vocal, they don't speak for me, but in a sense they fucking do.
They do, yes.
Sex is literally just as much of a social construct as gender. If your gender identity aligns with womanhood, then your sex is female. Lies.
No. Your sex in certain ways can vary.
You can change aspects of your sex, you can change your secondary sex characteristics,
Or primary sex characteristics.
Yeah, or your primary. But you can't change your chromosomes. You can't change the sex that you were born as.
Right.
And there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Right.
I can sit here and say I'm biologically male and I have no bones about it. Like, I don't care.
It's because it's the truth. There's nothing bad about the truth.
It's the truth, and there are certain...
It doesn't mean that you're worse than, and I think that's what they tend to do. They think that you're leveling them down. You just are what you are, but that doesn't mean that I have to be into you. That doesn't mean that I disrespect you at the same time. It just means that you are this, and that's exactly what you are.
Yes. I think the people that are upset about this, the trans people upset about this, aren't really too happy with the fact that they're trans. And as a trans person, I've gone through stages of like feeling like I was not enough, or feeling like I was gross or wrong or whatever.
Right.
And so I get that, and that's why they're lashing out. That's really honestly what I believe.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Which is why I try to be sensitive.
And you know what? It actually goes to other groups as well. I think a lot of black people would be defensive if someone said, I'm not attracted to black people, but I think it's about maturity and understanding what people like.
Yeah.
Also, like, do you only fall in love with genitals or something? You keep reducing trans people to only their genitals, and it's gross as fuck. Because you have sort of that standard of like, I only am attracted to vaginas, it traps you into this space of feeling like you're reducing trans people to their genitals, but you're really not. You're really just talking about what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
When I came over today, you didn't see me as my genitals. You didn't give a fuck that I was trans. It's like I was another person coming and we're filming a video and we like each other, and that's what it is. But if you're talking about sex and you're talking about genitals,
gonna come up. That's naturally gonna come up. That's what you have sex with.
They'll hear you say, I'm mostly only attracted to cis women. They'll ask you why, and then you'll say, well, vaginas. And then they'll be like, so why are you reducing vaginas? It's like, you brought it up. To understand this, all you have to do is apply it to any other type of preference or orientation.
Yeah.
If you are really attracted to Asian women because you love how Asian women look, no one really hates on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People only hate when you exclude someone. But it's like not even intentional exclusion. It's just like, this is what I'm into.
This is I can't help it. Like, trust me, I've tried. Doesn't matter what it's attached to. I don't even like strap-ons. But not that strap-ons and penises are the same thing. They're not. But for me, I don't like anything being penetrated. Okay, so this is one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video. I guess lesbians are ashamed at their sexuality and they have suicidal thoughts because people are calling them horrible names for simply being who they are. We've fought against, since the 1960s.
The entire history.
We are who we are. You can't hate us for that. I'm having suicidal thoughts because of everything that's happening at the moment with lesbians in the queer community. It's so exhausting being called a bigot and a vagina fetishist because of who I am. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like there's nowhere I belong now because both the right and the left thinks I'm disgusting. This is what it's become. It's either the far left or the far right, and there's like somehow no way that you can be gay in between, which is what you are.
That was the point I was trying to make, which is like, for so long we fought against, the right telling us that we could change and that we should change, and now we're fighting against the left saying that we can change and we should change.
I don't understand how it became one extreme to the other. I don't know where it happened.
You would think that a group of people, speaking of trans people, who take their autonomy into their own hands so much, trans people really mold their own lives, right? They make their choices, they know who they are.
Yeah.
You would think they would understand someone else who just knows what they want, knows who they are.
They have egos like everybody else.
You have to. Just be humble and realize that, like, no one has to fuck you.
Nobody has to fucking... It's so true, but it's like...
It's like, are times that hard that you can't get laid or something? Is that what it boils down to? Or are they just horny?
I think it's valid. No, they're using outside validation for their own self-worth. And that's why it's called self-worth, and I always preach that in my videos. Since I figured out that lesson of my own, I've gotten denied plenty of times in my life, and I would never consider myself less of a woman or less valuable of a person at this point in my life because I've learned those lessons of self-esteem. I'm not gonna let other people's vision of me affect myself. If that was the case, I wouldn't be making videos anymore. Just as important of a point though. Davey Wavy said this. He lets negative comments affect him the same exact way positive comments would affect him. He doesn't let them validate himself because positive comments can affect you. It could change into a negative comment really quickly if they don't disagree with you. It has nothing to do with your self-worth.
One thing that I see you getting a lot is, why is Arielle constantly going out of her way to talk about how she's not attracted to trans women?
Plenty of people asked. Riley Dennis's video literally said, would you date a trans person? Wasn't that the title of the video?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. That's the first thing.
That's what they were the ones who brought it up.
And the second thing is, like, I see a lot more people hounding you about it than I see you talking about it. Probably because you don't want to talk about it because you don't want people jumping on you like that. But
exactly.
They do.
Some trans women, yes, that are commenting saying like, I'm a trans woman and I would only date women with vaginas, and I feel like I'm betraying my own community. It's like, you can't help it. Like, what the hell?
Just stop making so much hoopla over trans people in general. It sucks as a trans person who's just trying to live live my life, to see all these people fighting fights I never asked for them to fight for. That's the worst part of it. Like, I don't want to turn on Fox News and see Fox News commentators like clowning on trans people because they found Zinnia Jones and she's being a fucking idiot. Just stop being fucking idiots and giving the people ammunition, please. Yeah. That'd be great. I'm gonna speak to what I know of Arielle. She's always been nothing but kind to me, nothing but supportive of me and my channel. I'm trans. If all these accusations of you hating trans people were true, you for damn sure wouldn't have me in your home right now, and you also would not be kind in the way that you have been. And what I also know of your content is that you've always stood for the LGBT community. You've always stood for trans rights, gay rights. Because
there's only so many people that have trans people on their channel consistently. I'm one of the only ones. Everyone's afraid to touch it. Yeah. Because of what happens.
And it's completely counterproductive, because if the goal is to get people to understand trans people and to be okay with trans people, which is an admirable goal, the last thing you want to do is alienate people.
That's exactly what I've been saying for 4 years now. Unless you're somebody like Gigi, who had like their own documentary, no one wants to touch trans issues. Like, people are afraid, and then you complain that there's no trans representation on TV.
No one does it perfect enough for you guys. Yeah. Part of the beauty of learning and growing and actually assimilating into a society is the messy moments, is the moments where maybe someone does get something wrong and can be like, listen, I'm not offended, but that was like not true, or that was inappropriate, or whatever. And people learn that way. But when people are too afraid to have the conversation because they'll get attacked in the way Arielle's been attacked, guess what? The conversation never happens, and trans people remain a fringe group. And that's not cool.
No. You are allowed to freely express yourself and have it be anonymous in a lot of cases, but it also gives people like Blaire and I the opportunity to correct that. Yes. Which is good, but then you have to be open to accepting that correction.
You have to. A lot of these people we've been responding to are fucking roadblocks. Honestly, you guys may feel like you're fighting the good fight, but you guys are making things worse. But the reality is, when people think of trans people, they only think of you guys, and look where we are because of that. And people spin it around on me that I'm the toxic one, or that I'm doing harm to trans people, and it's like, maybe my form of
You don't make people feel bad. You don't make people feel bad about asking questions.
You could never sit here with Riley, with Kat, with Zinnia, and have an open, honest conversation, because the second it gets slightly messy, you're a demon, and you're a bad person.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
So thank you so much for being here. You're one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks.
You are. I mean that. I'm not just saying that on camera. Like, I really genuinely mean that. Especially the conversation we had before. That stays off camera, though. You guys can't know that.
Off camera. And we're gonna hang out tonight, probably.
So go and check out Blaire if you haven't already. She's my favorite. Thank God she's a sane voice for trans people, in my opinion. Go subscribe to her channel. And I will see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. And leave your comments below. I already know you are. So go do it. I love you. Bye.
Ever to connect with my vagina was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
More than any other part of anything that I have done transition-wise was connecting with my vagina.
Good morning, girlfriends, boyfriends, and everyone else in between. Do you recognize this hairy